I remember the day I came back from Vietnam. We were promised a steak dinner.
When we landed in California, I remember telling my wife one time that was one of the few times I cried.
I remember the day I came home. It's like yesterday. My family met me at the airport. Man, it was just so wonderful to be alive, for one thing.
Yes, I can. I remember when I came home. We were out processed in probably a day and a half or 2 days. It was a new world to me. I'd never seen men with long hair all the way to their waist, and that surprised me.
I watched people in the airport. They would have a young lady who would come up and smiling like she had a bunch of flowers to give to the service people. And the next thing you know, the men with her would hit you with balloons of blood.
They told us as we were getting ready to land, change into your civilian gear. So we got off that airplane in civilian clothes, because to do otherwise would have been maybe some nasty fights.
When you go through and you fought for your country and then to have people do that to you, that's not something you get over real quick.
When I got home, the dog that I had before I left even barked at me when I got out of the car, but that soon resolved itself. And yeah, I remember that day.
Nearly 3 million servicemen and women served in the Vietnam War. We have approximately 850,000 Vietnam veterans living in the United States today. A community of veterans who served in one of the most complex military conflicts in American history. Many of them suffer from PTSD. Hello everybody, I'm Tony Orlando, and this is Close to Home.
Understand it took me 40 years to admit that I'd been in Vietnam.
I never talked about it. In the 38 years that I worked on the railroad, nobody knew I had been in the Marine Corps or that I had been in Vietnam. I never talked about it. I just kept it all to myself.
I never forget saw a little boy crying and coming at us, and I hope this isn't too graphic, but bottom part of his arm was hanging by some skin. That was it. Everything else was gone. You never forget that.
I was an executive officer in a logistical support activity, a captain in a major slot while I was in Vietnam. I got to see the really dirty side of combat. And it was just one day after another of horrific things that came your way. The most troubling was the way that we handled the casualties of war. Writing those letters home was one of the toughest parts of the job.
We had focus in trying to get the mission accomplished. Not that we actually thought about that. I was only 18 at the time. What do you think about when you're 18? And you put into a war zone, it's mostly getting to know the people that you're around and trying to survive. I came away from that experience changed. I didn't know I had changed.
We were expected to do things. Look for danger, always looking for danger. When you come home, you can't just turn that off.
After going through Special Forces training and getting my beret, and then going to Vietnam and working in special operations, this world is not the same. I was not the same.
If I start talking as I'm doing now, talking about Vietnam, I begin to smell Vietnam. I smell it as if I was there right now.
Servicemen and women have always been impacted by war. During World War II, it was called shell shock or battle fatigue. But the term post-traumatic stress disorder wasn't officially recognized until 1980.